Okay, this is Emily Craig, and now let's move on to the behavior. Let's review what we know so far. Okay, we know that we live in a physical universe of energies in which tones affect the thoughts and feelings of the spirits and hearts and wills that live here. All right, music covers everybody. We know that we live in a source, a creator that encompasses the subjective, eternal thought world as well as the physical, binary energy world. We know that our world has been administered by successive authorities. We know that there are other lives and other frequencies out there that we're not allowed to know about. We know that we live in a world with multiple timelines, and that's on a universe or a galaxy schedule of precession of the equinoxes. We know the Anunnaki have their own method of problem solving, which is purely subjective, and that they set up the elite hierarchy that we are subject to. We know that a lot of the thoughts that pop into our minds are not thoughts we want to pursue because we know that we're receiving a lot of bad information and poor methods of governance that do not fix the sins of the system. We know we have a political system that is now right versus left, those who want civil order and peace versus the Frankfurt School and the Zionist and Islamist supremacy schools and the Saul Alinsky tactical schools of civil takedown.
What is it you want us to do?
In the original Anunnaki conquest, King Anu's two sons, Enki and Lil, were in charge of socializing the world. And whereas Enki taught occult science and Lil taught law. And the Anunnaki covenant came through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the whole line of patriarchs, to the point that Jesus Christ came and pointed out that the law was breaking the hearts of the people. And so he instituted the laws with regard to intention that modified the ancient Jewish holy law, and it made it into the Christian kingdom of God. All right. So then the matters of authority began to change and change more. So we have competing authorities teaching the people competing doctrines and dogmas according to competing languages, using jargon in every case, which, not being consistent, has been very, very confusing for the people, to say the least. Okay. But the Anunnakis have a line, a hierarchy of people whose intention is to operate the world from behind closed doors and behind curtains, secrecy. And they have a set of rules that minimize the usage of physical facts and maximize the use of doctrines and dogmas. Here I have highlighted the aspects of Anunnaki dogma that have been adopted by the Illuminati and that lead to the necessity for reset after reset due to the fact that imperialistic factions are never calmed down or taken under the control of law. They operate by treachery, protection rackets, and divide and conquer. And I'll go into that in more detail soon, okay? Because the Illuminati are secret. They have mechanisms for manipulating and dominating what the people know in order to remain in power so that their evil designs can be acted out without the intervention of law. Principally, they're lawless, and that's how we live.
What is it you want us to do?
I don't know how many of you have ever been to a meeting in the Masonic Order. I was a Rainbow Girl in high school. And what they do in the public meetings is recite, literally, word for word, Masonic dogma and doctrine, and they go through ceremonies that are canned, okay? And nothing happens in those meetings that is not public. Whereas the private part of whatever is going on in the organization always happens with a few select people behind closed doors. Well, that is the mechanism that business in the West has adopted since they threw out actual personal communicating and customer service. We now have telephone systems that merely preach at us what the process is. We have telephone operators and support people simply reading off a piece of paper on their desk, and they don't know nothing, no how, okay, how things actually operate, and they do not have any authority, and they do not give you any real information anymore, because businesses are now run under ET trees by the methods of the Masons. This is why all business has become so impersonal, which is a real pain in the kazoo, all right? Business was very personal when I grew up in wholesale dry cleaners, and we answered our own phone, and if there was a message, we took it. And when I was at Kaiser Steel, in the order entry department, everybody had a phone at their desk that they answered. There was no such thing as these, if you want the nose picking department, press 1. If you want the ear picking department, press 3, and all that bullshit, okay? So that Masonic way of doing business has sullied and stupefied the West entirely. And the West runs on a different idiom, a different ethos, and it is personified in the Declaration of Independence and in the Constitution as being very personal, very, very personal. People have rights, people have responsibilities, people have obligations personally. All right, so next I'm going to take you through the Western system of responsibility for the outcomes that you create. And you'll see that our Western system of telling the truth and carrying the intention to solve problems has been almost completely overturned and nullified. Let's look at how our Western way of doing business is different. Okay, according to the Western ethic, physical and material reality operates by causes and effects in real time and location, as intentions, actions, results, effects, and outcomes occur in ego separation. Civil justice is defined as outcomes of behavior by laws of cause and effect, and this definition requires behavior to be subject to scrutiny. Experience is real. It is fraught with danger, risks, oh gosh. All right, disputes and competition with alternative meanings and interpretations. Therefore, it is memorable. Physical laws connote opposites attract, not likes attract. In electrical and social theories, harmony attracts predators, suffering attracts deficit. Intentional behavior creates outcomes, measurable and justifiable as good, neutral, or bad, negligent or deceitful or wasteful. Thus, good law is critical to social justice in order to disrupt predators and parasites. Communication is by just truth. Thus, everyone is responsible to know what is true, how to verify what is true, how to evaluate evidence, and move from specific actions up the leadership ladder. No problem, conflict, or dispute can be solved or resolved unless stakeholders' experience with effect is unpacked and revealed. The act of suppressing a will's attempts to speak from effects is a crime of leading to evil by disrupting clarity. Bribed judges, twisted judiciary, and resultant forfeit of justice is the first indicator that a system reset is at hand. All right. So what is going on for us is that the behaviors to reach justice are very difficult from the behaviors to prop up a hierarchy.
What is it you want us to do?
If you look at the three sets of behaviors that surround cooperation, what you notice is that fight or flight are the alternatives to cooperation. Fight is the narcissistic insistence on an authority that is impersonal, and psychopathy is an insistence on having no authority whatsoever. And both the egotistical and the secular materialist points of view and perspectives are currently at work to disrupt the lawful, legal election of President Trump in the current election context. And that is why we have to look at behavior, because behavior is what is creating the outcome of civil war in our country today. Please take note. Thank you. This is Emily Craig.
What is it you want us to do?